Discover how a homeless pregnant woman's incredible accounting skill transformed a billionaire's life. Maria huddled against the cold library wall, her breath visible in small puffs of fog. Shadows danced around the tall bookshelves while layered voices mixed into a chaotic melody, yet her world was starkly silent. 8 months pregnant, every passing day felt like an eternity. Once a confident accountant, she now wore the skin of a survivor, navigating the grit of Detroit's unforgiving streets with nothing but scraps and stubborn hope. She longed for a quilted blanket, a warm meal, and the heartbeat of her unborn child echoing against a safe roof. That afternoon, while pretending to read cracked spines of dusty novels, an argument broke through her solitude. A group of suit-clad executives stood within earshot, their harsh whispers like shards of glass. "Financial discrepancies numbers don't add up. We need someone to fix this mess," one executive said, clenching his jaw. The name James Wilder rang in her ears. Everyone recognized the billionaire's brilliance, but few spoke of his solitude. Maria's heart raced with unexpected urgency. As the conversation turned heated, their words struck at something deep within her, a flicker of recognition in the chaos. Could she not only survive, but also help them? Before she could think, she looked up, locking eyes with James. He felt a shock, recognizing the fire in her gaze, a fierce resolve that was all too rare in their world. "Excuse me," Maria called out, her voice barely above a whisper but lined with conviction. James turned, intrigued. The executive's laughter ricocheted off the walls. "And what does a homeless woman know about our financial issues?" She clenched her fists, defiance pushing back against the shame that threatened to swallow her whole. "I was an accountant, skilled with numbers long before I lost everything. I can help." Their skepticism was palpable, yet James's eyes never wavered. Something inside him stirred, curious about the untapped potential lying in front of him. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Days turned into weeks as Maria stepped into a world that felt foreign and rigid. With James as her unlikely ally, she pored over spreadsheets, translating complex analysis into simple solutions. Each meeting chipped away at the doubts from her colleagues, who watched a woman scorned by circumstance rise within their ranks. Each time she uncovered a hidden truth in the numbers, whispers of admiration began curling around her like a newfound armor, but her rise brought scrutiny. Friends doubted her decisions, seeing betrayal in her association with wealth, while family members stood on the sidelines, confused by her new life. Yet in quiet moments, as Maria rested on the library steps, looking toward the horizon, she felt a tempest brewing inside, a desire not just to survive, but to reshape the narrative of her life. As she stood at the precipice of transformation, Maria felt the weight of her impending motherhood and the hopes she carried for her child. The world was vast, complicated, and filled with voices whispering doubt. Could she navigate this uncharted territory and rectify the disparities that held so many in chains? The answers she sought loomed ahead, shimmering with the promise of change. As Maria settled into her newfound role, uncertainty danced around her like shadows in the dim library. The rhythm of her work became a pulse of life, each day weaving closer with James. Lines of spreadsheet data transformed from cold numbers into pathways of possibility. She could feel the weight of others' expectations resting heavily on her shoulders. Each successful breakthrough in their financial conundrum grew her confidence, yet the whispers of doubt never faded. One particularly crisp morning, James called her into his sleek office, bathed in natural light. It felt worlds away from her cold corner of the library. "We're getting closer to solving the discrepancies," he said, looking more animated than ever. "Your insight is vital." As he spoke, Maria sensed a bond forming, not just a professional respect but something warmer, a flicker of friendship, maybe even empathy. "Thank you," she replied, her voice small but genuine. I've never felt this valued before." The admission hung in the air, revealing pieces of her heart she had spent too long hiding. James gave her a soft smile, a brief moment where the billionaire mask slipped away, revealing a man grappling with his own demons. You remind me of who I used to be. I lost that part of myself in the chase for success. Maria's heart swelled. Here was a man who saw her not just as a project but as a person, reminding her that common ground exists, even in unlikely places. But as they grew closer, shadows loomed larger. She couldn't shake the gnawing anxiety that soon she would have to confront the reality of motherhood alone. Days flew by, each meeting yielding deeper insights. Yet every late-night calculation rekindled the fears of her past, the isolation, the judgment from loved ones. Could she stand strong for her child when every facet of her existence seemed uncertain? Then, one afternoon, reality crashed in with unexpected ferocity. Maria received a call from her sister. We're worried about you, Maria, her sister's voice trembled through the receiver. You're working with those Wall Street types now? It doesn't feel right. It isn't who you are. Each word was like a thorn piercing her heart, igniting a storm of emotions. I am who I am, Maria snapped, surprising herself with the fire in her voice. I'm doing something. I'm not just surviving. I've found a chance to thrive. Silence followed, thick and heavy. Tears welled in her eyes. Maybe you've lost your way, her sister replied softly, concern lacing her tone. You need to think of the baby. The truth struck hard, reverberating in the depths of Maria's heart. What if everything crumbled? What if she ended up alone once again? That night, she lay awake, staring at the ceiling in her small rented room. James's voice echoed in her mind, reminders of hope mingled with her sister's fears. The weight of two worlds pressed against her. Could she bridge the divide? The next day at the office, Maria felt different, fueled by her inner turmoil. She needed clarity. After hours of reshuffling charts and numbers, a new realization began to crystallize. What if she could use her skills to help others like her, not just for corporate gain? What if the real transformation meant rewriting not just her story, but those of countless others overlooked by the system? With determination igniting her spirit, Maria made her way to James's office, her heart pounding with a mix of uncertainty and zeal. She took a deep breath, ready to speak her truth. James, I want to propose something radical. Before she could finish, a knock echoed at the door. James's expression shifted immediately as he opened it. A familiar face appeared, eyes wide with distress, interrupting their moment. James, we have a serious issue. Maria's breath caught in her throat, the sudden crisis stifling her courage. In that charged moment, everything changed: her dreams, her resolve, and the hope for her future. How would she navigate this, let alone the challenges of motherhood? A storm was brewing, and Maria would soon find herself at the center of it. What chaos would this dilemma unleash? And would she still be able to fight for the life she envisioned for herself and her child? James's eyes locked onto the familiar figure standing in the doorway, an unsettling urgency radiating from the young man. Maria stood frozen, waiting for the tension to break, her thoughts swirling in a dizzying storm. What is it? James asked, his voice sharp and concerned. There's been a security breach, the young man replied, his voice trembling slightly. We think sensitive information has been leaked. Maria's heart raced. A breach? It felt as though the ground beneath her shifted. Thoughts of her dreams, her plans to reshape her future, toppled like a stack of cards. She felt suddenly small, as if her ambitions were nothing in the face of this corporate titan's chaos. James moved with purpose, commanding the room with his presence. Get everyone in the conference room. We need to find out exactly what has happened. He turned to Maria, his expression softening just a touch. Can you stay? You might help us connect the dots. She wanted to nod, but doubt slithered through her. Was she really equipped for this? One minute she was on the brink of proposing a plan that could touch lives, now she was scrambling to help salvage a crisis that could bring everything crashing down. Go ahead, Maria, he urged, sensing her hesitation. The urgency in his voice nudged her into action. As they gathered in the conference room, tension buzzed in the air. Professionals swarmed, exchanging nervous whispers, glancing at their devices as if answers lay hidden there. The digital clock ticking on the wall felt like a countdown to impending doom. Maria positioned herself at a corner of the table, her mind racing. She remembered the numbers, the patterns she had seen weaving through countless reports. If their internal data had been compromised, perhaps she could analyze what had been accessed. "Let us start with what we know," James said, projecting calm even as anxiety flickered in his eyes. "I need the quarterly reports and any outside communications emails, messages. Maria, can you help with the data analytics? You've been working with this division closely." As the team pulled together information, Maria felt her confidence ignite. This wasn't just about keeping a company afloat, it was about protecting the futures of everyone working inside those walls. She dove into the spreadsheets, her fingers flying over the keys. Each entry illuminated patterns and inconsistencies, and soon she began to connect the dots. Hours passed, and Maria lost herself in the numbers, feeling the vibrations of her colleagues' stress transform into a shared determination. She could hear James in the background strategizing with the team, his voice a steady anchor. They shared a mission, and she realized for the first time how her skills mattered not just to her but to so many others. Just as the pressure peaked, the door swung open, and another colleague rushed in with a printed report. "We found something." Their essay recurring address tied to the emails. "It might lead us to the infiltrators." The tension in the room shifted. A hum of excitement moved through Maria, invigorating her spirit. But beneath that excitement lay an unsettling thought she couldn't shake. What if this crisis pushed her ultimately back to that dark place of uncertainty? James caught her eye, and a shared understanding passed between them. This might change everything. They were now connected by urgency, not just by their earlier conversations. Maria's heart raced not with fear but with a burning desire to rise to the occasion. "James," she called, lifting her head high. "What if we used this chance not just to save the company but to bring about real change? A company that values transparency, that supports those in need." She envisioned a world where their successes didn't merely benefit the few. Could this intersection of crisis and opportunity reshape everything, including her future? His gaze intensified, and for a fleeting moment, they stood united in purpose. Just then, an alert buzzed on her phone, breaking the spell. She glanced down to see a message pop up from her sister, a worried reminder of her past life, pulling at the fragile threads of hope she had started to weave anew. "Maria." James's voice broke through her distraction. "Can you focus on that address? This could lead us to the answers we need." The storm outside gathered strength, matching the turmoil building inside her. Would the choices she made now dictate the life she created for her child? As her fingers raced over the keyboard again, hope and anxiety braided together in her chest. What path lay ahead? And when the dust settled, would she find the strength to claim the life she envisioned for herself and her baby? The thunder rolled outside, a promise of change on the horizon, and she wondered how this storm would ultimately reshape her world. Maria's fingers danced over the keyboard, numbers swirling before her eyes. She tuned out the buzz of voices around her, focusing on the task at hand. Each keystroke brought her a little closer to understanding the breach. The sound of the digital clock echoed in the tension-filled room, marking the seconds like a drumbeat of urgency. "Maria, what do you see?" James asked, his brow furrowed with concentration as he leaned closer. She looked up, startled by his intensity but also encouraged. The vulnerability in his expression reminded her they were all human, battling through chaos together. "Hold on," she replied, tracing a pattern on the screen with her finger. I think we've got something." The incoming emails are connected to a company that operates under multiple aliases. James's eyes widened. "What is their connection to us?" "I'm not sure yet," she said, her voice rising with excitement. "But their financial reports are riddled with discrepancies. It looks like they've been skimming data over the last few months. We need to alert IT immediately. Everyone needs to focus." James commanded, his authority settling the room as heads turned. "Let us pull together what we have and get IT on this." "Thank you, Maria." You're really onto something. She could feel the weight of his gratitude, igniting a spark within her. With renewed vigor, she shouted out tasks, directing her colleagues to source more information. They dove into the data with relentless determination, fueled by the prospect of discovery. A wave of hope surged within Maria, pushing back against her tether to doubt. As the minutes passed, wild thunderstorms raged outside, their howling winds like a voice echoing the turmoil within. But inside the conference room, the sound of fingers typing and papers shuffling created a symphony of focus, hope, and resilience. Suddenly, a colleague shouted, "I found more. Their transactions line up with our lost data. They could be selling sensitive information on the dark web." The room erupted in a chorus of gasps. Maria's pulse quickened, the stakes were higher than she had imagined. The implications were heavy, threatening to drown everything she had ever wanted. But there was no turning back now. This moment felt pivotal, charged with the potential to alter the course of their lives and hers. "Let us dig deeper," James urged, excitement and urgency intertwining. "Maria, can you analyze this new data with the timeline of our breaches? If we can pinpoint exactly what was stolen." "Right away," she replied, diving back into the spreadsheets, her heart pounding in rhythm with her thoughts. Each dataset she uncovered painted a clearer picture, drawing her further into a web of betrayal that felt both thrilling and terrifying. She could feel the fear of failure creeping in again, but it was drowned out by the flame of purpose igniting inside her chest. With every answer she revealed, she felt herself weaving a tighter bond with her colleagues, especially with James. The connection they shared in this moment became a lifeline. Hours passed in a blur of data and adrenaline, but hope surged as they gathered evidence. Suddenly, Maria stumbled upon a report linked to one specific employee, a name she recognized from her visits to the administrative office. James looked at her, bright-eyed with anticipation. "You found something again?" "This employee has ties to the company we suspect," Maria explained, holding back her tremors as uncertainty clawed at her mind. "I think their access was used to compromise our systems." A moment of silence enveloped the room, anticipation heavy in the air. "If that's true," James began, "it changes everything. We may need to involve the authorities." Maria's heart dropped. She doubted whether they had the strength to confront this reality. But amid the adrenaline, she also felt clarity. This was why they were fighting. Not just for their company, but to guard their futures, to protect their integrity. "James," she whispered, eyes shining with resolve, "if we confront this head-on, we not only protect ourselves but also set an example. We can't let fear dictate our actions anymore." As he gazed back at her, she sensed the weight of a shared commitment forming between them, a promise to not back down when it mattered most. The storm outside raged on, but it was nothing compared to the storm of determination raging within. But just then, her phone buzzed again, and the world outside slipped back into focus. Another message from her sister brought her crashing back to reality, tugging at the threads of her hope. Tension filled the space again, intertwining with the storm brewing outside. "Let us take that leap, Maria," James said, breaking her reverie. "If we confront this now, it could change everything for our team, for the company, for you." But as Maria glanced back at her phone, uncertainty gnawed at her edges. Would she find the strength to embrace what lay ahead, or would the shadows of her past drag her down one more time? With the storm still raging outside, Maria's heart beat with urgency. How would she navigate the choices ahead? Each decision felt like a fork in the road, pushing her toward an unknown destiny. What awaited them when they pulled the thread of this revelation? The thunder cracked again, reverberating against the walls of the conference room, but this time it was drowned out by the rush of thoughts in Maria's mind. Could she actually confront the shadows lurking in her life? The buzzing phone felt heavy in her palm, a reminder of all the baggage she carried. Images of her sister, alone and struggling, flashed before her eyes. "Maria?" James's voice pulled her back. "Are you okay?" She took a deep breath, trying to shake off the doubts. "Yeah, just thinking." "Good. I need you present right now," he insisted, his eyes steady and sincere. "We can't afford to hesitate." Maria nodded, squaring her shoulders. She had come too far to let doubts derail her now. All right. Let us lay out all we know about the data breaches and this employee. As the team fragmented into discussions about data and findings, she took a moment to easily tap through the messages on her phone. Her sister's text was simple yet piercing. I miss you. Can we talk? Her heart wrenched. Maria hadn't just been dodging work, she'd been dodging life. Fear choked her, but the storm of worry for her sister nudged her toward resolve. She couldn't let her past define her, nor could she let others' actions drag them down. We have a solid lead, Maria announced, her tone firm. We've got to focus on this employee first. I'll compile everything we have on them, including any interactions they had with us in the weeks leading up to the breaches. James looked visibly impressed. That's what I'm talking about. If we can nail down their movements, it could link them directly to the breaches. His approval was a balm to her anxiety. They began collaborating even faster now, voices blending in a flurry of ideas and snippets of evidence. Each voice gave her strength, filling her with a sense of belonging that felt foreign yet exhilarating. Time melted away as they worked. Soon, it was just past midnight, the numbers on the clock striking in unison with the crash of thunder outside. Disbelief and adrenaline coursed through her as they pieced together a timeline. Maria felt the room pulsing with potential as they cornered the truth, a fine thread that could lead to a massive reveal, but still, in the back of her mind, doubt whispered. What if this all leads to a dead end? What if revealing this truth will only put you at risk? What if you fail again? Maria pushed the whispers away, feeding off the energy in the room instead. They were not just uncovering a breach, they were dismantling a web of deceit that had the potential to sabotage them all. It felt like a cause worth fighting for, one that held the promise of a safer world for herself, for her team, and for her sister. Then, as they compiled their findings, a new message flashed from her sister. Don't forget your family, Maria. The room went quiet, the energy shifting. Maria felt a pang of guilt. She was consumed by this fight while her sister might be battling her own demons. Was she being selfish? This is bigger than us, she finally admitted to James, unable to hold back. I can't do this alone. I need to help my sister. She's going through so much. James met Maria's gaze, his expression softening. You know we're all in this together, right? We'll handle this, and then you can go to her. You have the chance to tackle both worlds. Maria nodded, a new sense of clarity washing over her. She had to step up, not just for her team, but for her family too. Just then, the lights flickered ominously, plunging the room into a momentary darkness. When they surged back, a chill ran down Maria's spine. The clock's ticking felt louder among the whispers of uncertainty. Let us wrap this up, we have to report to IT, James declared. But as Maria gathered her notes, a sudden thought froze her hand. What if the employee knows we're onto them? They could be making a move right now. The tension in the room shivered as her words sank in. What if they were racing against time? James's expression hardened. We need to be ready for anything. A fire ignited within her, fueled by urgency and purpose. She wasn't just up against numbers and emails now, this was personal. The fight had taken on an even deeper meaning. With each choice leading her closer to either protecting her family or her coworkers, Maria felt the stakes rising. The storm outside might be waning, but within her lay a tempest of emotions and decisions. What awaited her in that confrontation? Would she handle the truth when it hit home, or would it leave her more vulnerable than ever? The wind howled outside, rattling the windows as if warning them of the storm ahead. Maria took a deep breath, her determination only growing stronger. There was no time to waste. James, let us divide the tasks. I'll go through the employees' emails while you dig into their background checks. Got it, James replied, a sharp focus in his tone. The team moved like a well-oiled machine, fueled by purpose. With every piece of data they pulled, hope surged within her, but so did the fear of what they might find. Hours passed in what felt like a heartbeat. The conference room buzzed with the intensity of the storm and the pressure of their mission. Half listening to the chatter around her, Maria couldn't shake the knotted tension in her stomach. What if they uncovered something much darker than they anticipated? Suddenly, her phone chimed again. It was another message from her sister. "I need you, Maria. Please." The walls closed in, making her feel trapped between her professional obligations and her personal life. She briefly closed her eyes, visualizing her sister's face. It was a reflection of love she felt she couldn't give her in person. Every ping from her phone felt like a reminder of her failure to be there. "Hey," James's voice broke her thoughts. "You alright?" "Yeah. Just thinking about my sister. She needs me." "I get it. Family first, right?" He offered a reassuring smile. "But you're doing great here, don't forget that." Maria nodded, grateful for his support but knowing her heart was still divided. She needed to be there for her sister, and yet here she was, fighting for something bigger than herself. It wasn't just about the company, it was about protecting every one of them and their families. An eerie silence settled over the room. James's expression hardened as he examined the data on his screen. "I think I found something. Look at this." Maria leaned in closer, her heart racing. His eyes scanned the text as if he'd just uncovered a treasure. "Here. This employee was in contact with a known hacker around the time of the breaches. Money was exchanged, and it seems very suspicious." Her heart dropped. What if they're working together? What if this is bigger than us? "Exactly," he responded. "We have to go through every last detail." As they dove deeper into the evidence, Maria's mind drifted back to her sister. The stakes were rising, but her sense of urgency felt mostly tied to her sibling. What if her sister was facing something far worse than she could even imagine? "Is everything good with you?" James asked, his brow furrowing with concern. She swallowed hard, forcing a smile. "Yeah, I'm just feeling the weight of it all." James and the others continued their work, unaware of the storm brewing in her chest. She had to make a decision. Tackling both the corporate collapse and her family crisis felt overwhelming. But what if she couldn't do it all? Just then, a third manuscript from her sister lit up her screen. "I'm really scared, Maria. I need to hear your voice." Her resolve cracked. "I can't keep ignoring her," Maria blurted out, her voice trembling slightly. James's eyes softened. "Go. We'll manage. This won't fall apart without you for a bit. It's more important that you take care of your family." Relief washed over her, mingling with the guilt of leaving. "But what if I miss something crucial? At the end of the day, we do this for our family too," he argued, pushing back her doubts. "You need to be there for your sister." Tears glistened in her eyes. "You're right. I can't allow this to pull me away from those I love." She stood, her heart pounding but dreading the place she'd have to go. As she walked towards the door, James called after her, "Just remember you're not alone in this fight." Maria halted, her heart racing at his words. They meant more than she had thought. She felt a flicker of strength ignite within her, despite the fear that clouded her mind. As she stepped into the cold hallway, uncertainty flooded back. What would she find waiting for her? Was her sister indeed in trouble, or was she just being overprotective? The storm outside had passed, but Maria sensed a different one brewing just ahead. Would confronting her truths only bring more chaos, or would it help her finally find peace? With resolve, she took a breath, her voice almost a whisper. "I need to be ready for whatever comes next." What awaited her in that confrontation? Would she be able to face the truth of her sister's struggles head-on, or would it shatter her in ways she had never anticipated? The cold air hit Maria like a slap in the face as she stepped outside. The world felt different now. The buzz of the conference room faded, replaced by the chaos of sirens and distant traffic. Her heart raced as her thoughts collided. Was she making the right choice? The weight of her sister's message pressed down like an anchor, threatening to pull her under. She pulled her jacket tighter, drawing her chin down into its warmth. Her sister needed her, but what was she walking into? The unpredictability ate at her nerves. Every turn she took resonated with the fear that had settled like fog in her chest. Arriving at her sister's apartment building felt surreal. The place was a shadow of its former self, the paint peeling and the windows grimy. Maria could hear the echoes of laughter and the clatter of children in the park nearby, sounds that felt miles away from where she stood. She hesitated outside the entrance, battling the urge to turn back. "Just breathe," she whispered to herself. "You can do this." Taking a step forward, she felt her heart slam against her ribcage. The familiar scent of dampness and old popcorn enveloped her as she entered the building. Maria made her way to the familiar apartment door, and as she raised her hand to knock, she paused. What if she found her sister in distress? What if she had made a terrible mistake, one that filled the air with tension and tears? Maria's hand trembled and finally, as if propelled by instinct, she knocked softly. The sound echoed in the empty hallway, and a moment passed, then another. The weight of waiting was palpable. Finally, the door creaked open, and there stood her sister, Anna. She looked fragile, her eyes wide and desperate. Maria's heart dropped at the sight. "Anna?" A choked sob escaped her sister's lips. "Maria." The dam broke. Anna collapsed into her arms, squeezing tightly as if afraid Maria would vanish. "What is going on?" Maria's voice cracked, plastering on a brave face as she held her sister close. "It's everything's going wrong," Anna managed between sobs, pulling back to look into Maria's eyes. The panic in her gaze sent alarm bells ringing in Maria's head. "What do you mean? Talk to me." The urgency in her tone increased. Anna gestured inside the apartment, and once they settled onto the sagging couch, she began to share a whirlwind of chaos. Financial woes, job instability, and now, what felt like a tidal wave of fear surrounding her unplanned pregnancy. The words tumbled out, and Maria felt each one hit her hard. "I just don't know how I'll manage," Anna said, her hands clasped nervously in her lap. "I'm scared to be a mom, and I feel so alone. Everything seems hopeless." With every word, the weight on Maria's chest felt heavier. She wanted to reassure her sister, but how could she when life was throwing hurdles at both of them? "We'll figure it out," Maria whispered fiercely, though doubt laced her voice. "You're not alone anymore, I promise." As they sat together in the dim light, an idea began to form in Maria's mind. She took a deep breath, letting the warmth of what was possible ignite her fading hope. "Anna, what if I help you apply for a job? You've always been great with numbers. You could teach me, and I can help you manage the stress." Anna looked up, her eyes flickering with a hint of hope. "Really? You think I could?" "Absolutely. We could even start a little business together, something small at first. I know times are tough, but we can find a way." The spark of excitement was a welcome respite among the storm of worries. They began discussing ideas, but Maria noticed a flicker of hesitation in Anna's eyes. "What if I fail? Then we try again. Together." The determination in Maria's voice surprised even her. Little did they know, a new storm was brewing on the horizon, one that would challenge their newfound ambitions and the very fabric of their relationship. As they leaned into the uncertainty of their plans, something lingered. Was this the turning point they both needed, or just another wave in the storm? Just outside the windows, the sky darkened, signaling a fierce thunderstorm rolling in. Would it wash away their fragile hope? The first clap of thunder rattled the windows, drawing Maria's attention away from their hopeful brainstorming. She glanced at Anna, who sat wide-eyed, lost in thought. The storm mirrored their uncertainty, a chaotic backdrop to the fragile bond they were trying to rebuild. "Are you okay?" Maria asked gently, placing her hand on Anna's knee. The warmth of her sister's skin felt reassuring against the chilly air. "Yeah, just thinking," Anna replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "About everything." Maria felt a lump in her throat. They had a plan, a spark of hope. So why did it feel so insubstantial, like a thin film ready to tear under pressure? "We've been through tough times before, Anna. Remember when we took that trip to the beach? We spent everything we had, but it was worth it. We laughed so hard. Anna cracked a small smile, but it quickly faded. But this is different. I can't take risks now, not with a baby on the way. What if that baby could be the motivation to push us? To build something real? Maria replied, trying to stoke the fire of possibility. You're talented, Anna. You could market those skills. We could do this together. Anna sighed. The weight of her fears clung to her like a heavy fog. What if it's too much? Maria leaned in. What if we lay it all out? Let us make a list of what we need to do. Just take a step at a time. They shifted to the small table, cluttered with papers and remnants of takeout. An old notebook sat nearby, and Maria flipped it open, revealing blank pages. We need structure. Anna watched as Maria started jotting down ideas, job opportunities, potential clients for their business, resources for new moms. Each word seemed to breathe a little life into the room, a counter to the storm pounding outside. What if we start with a small project, something you can manage while you figure everything out? Maria suggested, her pen racing across the page. Maybe tutoring in accounting? Even online classes. It could be a way for you to connect and build a client base. Anna chewed on her lip, a mix of hope and doubt swirling in her eyes. But what if I really am not cut out for this? What if no one wants my help? Then we adjust. You're too skilled for this fear to stop you. Maria paused, searching for the right words. Everyone starts somewhere. Look at all the businesses around us. They all had their first clients at some point. Another rumble of thunder echoed, as if emphasizing Maria's point. Anna's grim expression softened, and for a moment, it felt as if the storm was outside the apartment, not within them. Okay, Anna breathed, her voice steadier. Let us try. I'll draft an outline for an online class. Now you're talking. Maria cheered, heartened by her sister's shift. The tension was still there, like the static in the air before a lightning strike, but a flicker of excitement sparked between them. Their conversation flowed as they brainstormed ideas, transforming their worries into plans. As they reached the end of their brainstorming session, Maria felt a rush of pride. You know, Anna, we're going to do this. Together. But the thunder outside intensified, a reminder that the storm was just beginning not only outside, but in their lives. Shadows danced across the room as lightning flashed, illuminating the walls of their childhood. Then there was a knock at the door, startling them both. Maria's heart skipped a beat. Who could that be? Anna's eyes widened. I don't know. Do you think it's someone for me? The uncertainty in the atmosphere thickened again, pulse racing with anticipation. In moments like these, hope and fear danced hand in hand. Maria took a deep breath. Only one way to find out. She walked towards the door, hand hovering over the knob. What lay beyond? Friends? Foes? Or something even more surprising? Maria twisted the doorknob and pulled it open, her heart racing. The storm outside roared, casting shadows over the figure standing on the threshold. It was hard to make out at first, but as her eyes adjusted to the darkness and rain-soaked air, she saw a woman, shivering, with a small duffel bag slung over her shoulder. Wide eyes filled with anxiety met Maria's. Can I come in? The woman asked, her voice nearly lost in the howling wind. Of course, Maria replied quickly, stepping aside. The woman's presence filled the cramped apartment with a strange mix of vulnerability and urgency. Maria glanced back at Anna, who still sat at the table, her brow furrowed in confusion. The woman stepped inside, water dripping from her hair onto the wooden floor. She looked like someone who had been running, her clothes worn and dirty. Thank you, she breathed as if stepping inside had been an escape from something desperate outside. What happened? Anna asked, her instincts kicking in, a wave of compassion washing over her. I was at the shelter, but the woman hesitated, shaking slightly. There was a fight. I just had to leave. Maria nodded, empathy swelling in her chest. You're safe here. Do you want some tea or something warm? The woman shook her head, pulling her bag closer. No, I'm in a tough spot. I'm pregnant, and she paused again, pain flickering in her eyes. I can't go back. The weight of that confession hung in the air. Anna glanced at Maria, a silent question lingering between them. Do you have a place to stay? Maria pressed gently. No. I thought I could find work and save up. I used to be an accountant. But her voice cracked, and Maria could see the pain cloaked beneath her resolve. Anna's an accountant too, Maria interjected, the idea sparking in her mind. Maybe you can help each other. Anna's eyes widened, disbelief mixed with hope. Really? You're an accountant? Yes, but I've lost all connections. I don't even know where to start anymore, the woman said, her voice shaky. We have connections, Maria replied, determination in her tone. We can help you find clients. Anna's looking to start tutoring. Maybe there's a way. The storm outside ramped up, the wind battering the windows. Anna stood, her features softening as she reached out to the stranger. Let us sit down and talk. We can figure this out together. As they moved back to the table, the tension in the room began to shift, patting the edges of uncertainty with the warmth of potential. The woman's face looked hopeful now. You'd really help me? Absolutely, Maria affirmed, glancing at Anna, who nodded. We're all in this together. For the first time, the woman smiled. It was fragile and yet radiant, illuminating the shadows that the storm had cast. What is your name? Anna asked softly. Jasmine, she replied, the name felt bright amidst the tumult. There was a glimmer of possibility between them now, a bond stitched together by shared aspirations and struggles. The door was open for transformation, and together they seemed to step over the threshold. They began to brainstorm, pens dancing over paper, each idea a thread weaving a new narrative. Maria couldn't help but feel that this was the moment life had shifted, the storm outside a metaphor for the tumult within. But just then, there was another knock at the door, this time stronger, more insistent. The three women's eyes darted toward the door, unease creeping in once again. Who now? Anna whispered, the gravity of the moment weighing heavily in the air. I don't know, Maria said, her voice barely above a whisper, anxiety pulsing through her. Should we see who it is? And as they all took a deep breath, they wondered what and who would come crashing into their lives in the next moment, disrupting their newfound hope once again. Maria glanced at Jasmine and Anna, their faces a mixture of curiosity and dread. The knock came again, like a thunderclap shattering the fragile peace they had just found. Should I open it? Anna whispered, her voice trembling slightly. Let us hear what they want. We can decide if we need to let them in, Maria replied, feeling the tension press against her chest like an unseen weight. The three women huddled together, unsure of the secrets hidden behind the door. Another knock echoed, louder this time. Okay, I'll do it, Maria said, summoning her courage. She approached the door slowly, hesitating just a beat before resting her hand on the doorknob. A surge of anxiety gripped her as she turned the knob and pulled the door open. There stood a man, tall with broad shoulders, eyes grim and serious. What is going on in here? He demanded, taking in the three women with a swift, assessing gaze. Maria felt her heart race. Who are you? She asked, stepping protectively in front of Anna and Jasmine. I'm the manager of the shelter where you picked her up, he replied, gesturing to Jasmine. We're looking for one of our residents. She's gone missing. A chill swept through the apartment as Maria exchanged worried glances with Anna and Jasmine. Jasmine? The man's voice softened but maintained its edge. You need to come back with me. It's not safe out here. No. Jasmine blurted out, her voice rising. I can't go back there. Please, just let me stay. She stepped closer to Maria, instinctively seeking comfort and support, and Maria felt her heart ache for her. Listen, the man said, frustration bubbling to the surface, you're in danger staying here. You don't know what is going on in this city. Trust me, it's not what it seems. Seems like you're more of a threat than anything else, Maria snapped, her fears flaring into anger. We just started to find some hope. You can't take that away. Hope doesn't mean anything if you're putting yours and your child's life at risk. You don't know the situation, he argued, glancing back at Jasmine, whose eyes had turned glassy with fear. Maria felt the urgency in his tone. There was truth in what he said. But there was also the undeniable bond they had just forged in their little sanctuary, the promise of new life and possibilities. She stood firm, unwilling to let their newborn dreams shatter with a single statement. Look, Maria said slowly, trying to find a way through this chaotic encounter. We're all searching for stability and meaning. Whatever is happening out there can stay out. In here, we're safe, and we're trying to build something together. Safe? What do you know about safe? The man stepped forward, anger and desperation igniting in him. Then, Maria had an unexpected wave of clarity. She needed to take control. You're right. We don't know what's safe. But Jasmine's right here, and she wants to create a new life. What if you helped us instead? The man blinked, taken aback by her challenge. Help us build, Maria said, voice steady. Find ways to support at-risk families. Instead of tearing them apart, why not collaborate? You could see firsthand how hard we're fighting. He frowned, contemplating the offer. Just then, Anna spoke up timidly, what if Jasmine stays here, and you can return with your support? Together we can find a way to help those in need. Do you believe in what you're saying? He asked Maria, the hard edge in his voice softening. I believe in helping each other, Maria replied, taking a breath. We are stronger together than we are apart. The room held a heavy silence, everyone weighing the options presented. I'll give you a week, he said finally, a reluctant agreement surfacing. But if something goes wrong, you need to call for help. That's a start, Maria insisted, relief flooding her. Thank you. With that, he nodded curtly and stepped back, leaving the door ajar. What just happened? Jasmine asked, looking up at Maria with wide eyes, a flicker of hope igniting once again. Maria exhaled deeply, her stomach fluttering with emotions. We just solidified a new beginning. Over the next few days, the trio forged a bond that felt like sunshine after the darkest storm. They began crafting a plan for Jasmine's accounting services while Anna used her talents to help her sister navigate her fears of becoming a mother as they embraced their new partnership. In their little haven, laughter mingled with futures laid bare, hope flourished among fear. Maria took pride in how they helped each other, reflecting how much they had all transformed individually. Remember how lost we all felt? Anna mused one evening as they gathered at the table with papers spread before them filled with scribbles and plans. And now look, we're planning a business and a family together. Jasmine smiled, her spirit soaring with every kind word and gesture that enveloped her. I've never felt this lucky, she admitted softly, her eyes shining. A bittersweet ache filled Maria's heart. What had once felt like a snipe in her life now glimmered with prospects ahead. It was all such a stark contrast. But within those moments of joy arose another thought. Adventuring into uncertainty brought both exultation and fear in equal abundance. I can't believe that just a short while ago, I was out there, alone, fighting for survival. But now it feels like I'm part of something, Jasmine said, her voice steady with newfound strength. And look how far we've come, Maria nodded, smiling at Jasmine's transformation, her heart swelling with pride. Let us keep pushing forward, together. Days morphed into weeks with shared heartaches and victories binding them all, pulling them closer. Each success arose not just from the transactions they traced but in the collective passion to help transcend the struggles they emerged from. When Maria and Anna's businesses blossomed, their success created ripples led by Jasmine's newfound resolve, a woman who had ventured from survival to supporting others, a reminder of how deeply intertwined their destinies had become. The storm had passed, and all that remained was the sunlight peeking through the clouds. Within that warmth, Maria knew the journey ahead wouldn't always be easy. But she had hope in her heart, resilience etched in her spirit, and a support system growing stronger each day. Their collective dream would not be easy to nurture, yet, side by side, they would weather whatever came their way. As Maria took a moment to reflect upon all that had transpired, she marveled at the power of change that flickered through her very core. This life, once filled with shadows, had transformed into a mosaic of light and potential. The time had come for fresh starts, new paths, and the promise of family, no matter what storms lay ahead. And so, as the waves of laughter spilled from their shared space, Maria felt empowered. With an open heart and fierce determination, she stepped forward into the future, ready to embrace the unexpected because she was more than a survivor now. She was a mother, a sister, and amidst the chaos, a beacon of hope. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.